If you like to read and you also maybe like to draw, then I feel like we might be good friends. So let's set up my reading journal for 2026 so that we can do book reviews and all that fun stuff in a fun, colorful reading journal. Why? Literally just for fun. Hi, I'm Becca. I'm a full-time elementary music teacher, and I have a full-time business on the side where I help music teachers by selling music teacher stuff, and I also love to journal. So here on this channel, we talk about kind of like how to make everything work, and this falls clearly into the hobby section, which I do find very important in life and really helping me stay sane. So here we're doing a quick little flip through last year's portion of the reading journal. This journal I've been using for 3 years now, as you saw, and we're gonna set up 2026 in the same journal. Now, depending on how much I read and how many book reviews I do this year, I might be able to fit one more year in this journal, and I might have to start a new one next year. So we're kind of gonna see. I think I have enough space to do this year and next year, but I might just decide to get a new one next year anyway. For this reading journal setup, I'm using these Ohuhu acrylic markers. I'm not sponsored or anything. I'm not even like a bullet journal person, but I really enjoy my reading journal and bullet journal in general, so I thought it'd be fun to show you how a, non-bullet journal influencer person might set theirs up. I had just gotten these, and I actually did this before I did my regular bullet journal, so I had never used these before. I'd swatched them and that was it, but y'all, they are so much fun. I love painting. I'm not really a marker person, but this was great because it gave me the painting effect because it's acrylic, but in a marker form, so it's easier to control, less messy. It dried really quickly. It layered really well. I was extremely impressed, so I will link these down below, and just, really impressed. They were a good time. So for this journal, I always have like a theme because I'm a nerd. And this year the theme is like a travel notebook postage stamp kind of idea, like letters, and then with some flowers. Do those go together? No, but we're putting flowers on the postage stamps. We're having a good time. So this is my cover page. It's completely frivolous. There's literally no point except to be like, now we're in 2026, especially because I've been using the same journal for 3 years now. So I do like that I have that like designation that we're in a new year, and I just think it's pretty. This is where I put my bookmark, and so every time I open the journal up, this is where I start, and then I flip through to the page that I want. At the bottom, I'm adding the quote, "With freedom, books, flowers, and the moon, who could not be happy?" by Oscar Wilde. And then we're adding like a big 2026. These flowers are really, really simple. I just use the acrylic markers, obviously. And then I literally just took a fine liner and did like lines for the pages. And I'm going to take this black acrylic marker and put it right on top of the flowers for the 2026. And then we will be done with the cover page. Wow, it only took 3 minutes here. This was the longest part of the setup for me as I was setting it up. Although, to be fair, it didn't take that long, especially because these acrylic markers dry super fast. I usually use watercolor, and then I have to wait for it to dry, which is the bane of my existence. So having the acrylic markers that dried super fast was really helpful because it sped things up because I didn't have to, like, wait on the drying time. So that's what we've got going on. Here I am checking to see if it was drying because, like I said, I had never used this before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. In this video, we're setting up like the beginning of the year pages for my reading journal. So we're setting up like trackers and things like that. And then after this, I just do review pages. Some people do a lot of like reading journal content and they'll do like monthly stat pages and all that. I don't. I do what you're gonna see here, and then I will add review pages for books if I feel like it. Sometimes I don't feel like it, especially if I didn't love a book. I won't bother with a review page. You can kind of tell how much I liked a book based on like how nice the review page is, because if I didn't love it, I won't do it at all. If it was okay, I'll do something like, okay, but not like super great. And then if I love it, I'll do like a full 2-page spread, and I'll do a painting, and I'll do like all these things. And it's just a really fun way for me to like live in a book a little bit longer. And especially, like I said, if I enjoyed it, I'll like have a really fun time just trying to figure out like what colors that would go along with it and what I could draw that would kind of help me, you know, feel the same vibes, which I find really fun. Here on this spread on the right side, or sorry, the left side, we are made a little letter sticking out of an envelope and it says goals. And then on the other side, we're doing a to be read situation. So I have the 2 pages. Those are supposed to be like the pages of letters, so paper essentially. And so one for fiction and one for nonfiction. And then around there we have some little postage stamps that we're adding. So we have that little situation going on. And here, these pens I'm using are the Pentel brush pens. I love these. They're my favorite brush pens to use, so highly recommend. I will link them down below. They have like a big brush on one side and a small brush on the other, which is what I like about them. I'm adding a few flowers with the acrylic markers, and we're using the same flowers that I did on the other side. So I have this one I'm doing is kind of like an African violet, so it's got light purple and then like dark purple and yellow on the petals as well. And then behind it is just a vine of, I don't know, whatever you want it to be. And then I'm doing the same flower up in the top, and then I don't know what the flower I'm going to put in the bottom would be considered. It's just a coral colored with a lot of petals, and that's all I got. So I just kind of made them up. I didn't put that much thought into what I was, you know, gonna do here, but that's a-okay. On this to be read page, you see I have fiction and I have nonfiction. I typically read a lot of nonfiction, like almost half and half, but last year, as you'll see in a video that will be coming out soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, I did something called the Year of Frivolous Reading, where I didn't read really any nonfiction books. This year, 2026, I'm feeling much like I was a little burnt out on the learning. But this year, I'm feeling a lot better about it. So I've already started one. I'm just kind of taking it slow. So I do think I will have some here soon. As far as the goals go, I don't have anything like super crazy. So my goal is to read 40 books. That's been my goal for the last 3 years. In 2024, I think I read 34. I'm looking back as in my reading journal as I'm telling you this. And then last year I read 36. So we got pretty close. I averaged 3 to 4 books a month. And so this year I'm kind of like, well, let's try to get 4 instead of 3, which I think I can do, especially because last year I read a lot of really big books. So even though a lot of months I only read 3 books, I read a lot of like 600-page books. So I feel pretty good about the 40 this year. I would like to renew my library card because it is expired, and then figure out how to do the borrow books from the library on my Kindle, because I don't know how to do that. I want to paint a book cover because that seems fun, and emboss some books because my husband got me like an embosser thing so I can put my name on my books, at least the ones I really like. I love having names on books, and I love getting books from thrift stores that like have other people's names in them, so I always write my name in my books. Over here under fiction, I'm just adding some things to my to be read. So I have Meet Me in Monaco, Hemingway's Girl, Once Upon a Wardrobe, Maria, The Magician series, and The Nightingale. I have all of these except for the Magician series. The other ones I all have purchased but haven't read yet, so I wanted to prioritize the ones that I, have, like I said, the ones that I have purchased but I haven't read yet, and then 2 of them I got for Christmas. Once Upon a Wardrobe I actually have already finished because I set this up in December, and even though I'm just now getting around to posting it, and so I've actually already finished it. It's so good. It's a take on Narnia, and it's about a woman, she's college age, and she has a brother who has a heart condition, and he is obsessed with C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was the first book to come out in the Narnia series. And she goes to college right next to the college where C.S. Lewis teaches, and so he convinces her to ask him all these questions because he wants to know where Narnia is coming from. and it's really cute. It's also a little bit sad, but just know that. Next up, we're setting up my book tracker. I'm doing this very differently this year. I've been doing them differently every year to kind of see what I like. I wanted to be able to have like a chart, which is what I have here at the bottom, where I could just list the books, because I want to make sure I have space for the title, space for the name, because some years I've had trackers where it was really hard to see. Last year's worked out pretty well, having this space. And then I also really like a bookshelf tracker where you color them in. So what I decided to do is I have the bookshelf on the top and then I have the chart on the bottom. So as I finish a book, I color it in on the bookshelf tracker at the top, and then I write the title and the author, the date that I finished it, and my star rating down in the chart, so that way I have the information about the book, as well as I can kind of keep track of how many books I read in like a fun way, because I like a bookshelf tracker. I think they're fun. I also, every month, I have like one specific marker that I use in my habit trackers in my bullet journal and also in here, and that's like the marker that I track everything with. So like for January, it's like this light blue, and I colored in all the books that I've read for January in that light blue color. Currently, I have actually already finished 4, filming this on the 25th, so I feel like that's pretty good, because I told you 4 was my goal, and I count whatever month I finish them in. So even if I finish them, like if I finish a book on February 1st, it counts for February, just because I had to, make a plan. I have enough space for 43 books, I think, and then I purposefully made that pile on the right hand side go horizontally so I can stack books up higher if I need to. And then I added a little like frame for a stamp and a little vase just to make it a little bit more fun. Next up, what you're already seeing is my standout books page. So this is literally where I just put the book covers of my favorite books of the year, which is already going to be difficult because everything I've read so far has been so good. In case you're wondering, I finished the book Burning God, which is out of the Poppy War series. I finished Last Christmas in Paris, which I started reading because it said Christmas in the title, and it was Christmas time, and it was not very Christmassy at all. So, there we are. Once Upon a Wardrobe, as I already said, and I just finished Anatomy of an Alibi, which was really good. So, all of those I would highly recommend to you if you're looking for anything good. And while you're, hanging out here watching me set this up, I would love it if you would leave me your favorite book recommendations down below, especially if it's something you read maybe last year, but just anytime that you've read just your favorite books, let me know down below. I especially love a good historical fiction book. Okay. Here I'm just taking a gold Sharpie and adding a little outline because I just feel like pages look better with outlines. So, there we are. The standout books page currently doesn't look like much because it's going to have books covers on it. So I purposely made it pretty simple, but it'll serve my purpose. Flipping over, and here we have 2 pages that are going to do totally different things. So on the right hand side, I have like an envelope situation with a letter coming out the top, and this is going to be my book bingo, which I do completely just for fun, and it's just random things about books, and then as I do them, I fill them in, and it's just really just a good time. On the left hand side is going to be a quotes page. I've never included a quotes page in my reading journal before, but I'm excited to do it so far. I've already added 2, so I don't know that I have enough space, but you know what, it's gonna be okay. So I did little postage stamps, and I am writing some quotes in the postage stamps, and then I did a like postcard that I can write a quote in, and then like a letter in that bigger piece down there in the bottom. And so hopefully that will last me. So far I have Amateurs Obsess Over Strategy and Professionals Obsess Over Logistics, which is from Burning Gods, and it is the simplest thing we feel treasures sometimes, is it not, from Last Christmas in Paris, because I thought that was pretty. Adding some flowers and some different things, and then we're going to fill out the bingo board on the right hand side. All right, so what I've got in here is I have reread, book to movie, so something that's turned into a movie, a book that has magic, World War II, a new release in 2026, a new to me author, dual perspectives, so where there's like some chapters with one person, some chapters with another, classic, black and white cover, set in the Gilded Age, reading outside, retelling of like a fairy tale, free space, a book set in the summer, 500 or more pages, a mystery, a 5-star read. Oh, I have read outside on here twice, so I guess I'll count 2 different times. I don't know. Library, a beach read, World War I, royalty, nonfiction, ancient times, and fantasy. And if you see how I'm kind of like going all over the place, the reason is because I was trying to separate out ones that I thought were going to be like too easy, so that way the different columns have like a mixture of things that are easy and things that are hard. I have a list that I'm referring to, and then I'm also looking at last year's bingo board just to get some different ideas. And then as I read a book that fits into one of these categories, then I will color it in. So you can see I did not do a very good job last year. And so the idea would be to get 5 in a row up horizontally or across. So far, I think that left-hand column is going to be my magic, because I've already actually have 2 in that column, which, you know, again, we're only 25 days into the year as I'm filming this voiceover. So I feel like that's going to be our magic right there over on the left side, but we'll see. I feel like I could hit a lot of these actually this year, which is surprising because I feel like the one in last year's I didn't fill out very much. So I don't know, maybe I made the prompts easier this year. We shall see. And that's just a fun thing. And I leave enough space on the bottom that I can write the title, or at least some of the words of the title, so that way looking back I can see which one it is. And I also fill that out in the color of the month. We skipped a page actually and are going to something I've never seen in a book journal, reading journal before I have made it. And I've watched a lot of reading journal setups. And this is a book timeline. Like I said, I love reading historical fiction. It is my absolute favorite, has been ever since I was a child. I blame American Girl dolls, but it's just so much fun. And so I like to include a timeline so I can see kind of like when most of my books that I'm reading were set. So I go just by whatever they were set. And if they're set in multiple time periods, then I just do whichever I feel like it's more set in. So usually if it's like, I feel like usually if it's dual perspective, there's a modern and a old one. And so I usually go with the older one. So I'm looking at last year, and last year I had a 400 BC and 800 BC, which is really early, and then an 1812, 1920s, World War II, so like 1940s, 1960s, and then I had a few that were present day. And then I had quite a few fantasy books last year, so I didn't include those because they're fantasy, you know, they're not real, so they're not really here, and that's okay. For my guidelines of dates, I decided to add a little picture in a postage stamp. So over on the left, I have pyramids to represent the ancient times. I have a sword to represent like early or medieval. I have a crown to represent the Victorian era. A chandelier, it doesn't really look like a chandelier, sorry, for the Gilded Age. An airplane for World War II, and then skyscrapers for modern day. And yes, I do have, like, you know, there's a lot of space in between ancient times and medieval and Victorian, and not that much space between Victorian and Gilded Age, but I read a lot more books in the, like, I would say between 1810 and, like, 1940s is, like, where most of my books are. So I'm okay with it being not, you know, perfectly set out. And then I added a quote over here on the bottom that I felt like went with this pretty well. And it says, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one," which is from J.R.R. Martin in the book Dances with Dragons, which is from, I believe, the Game of Thrones series, right? Once I put an outline on there, then our book timeline is set, and I'm going to close my notebook and come back. It doesn't really look like anything happened, but I swear I did leave and come back. And I'm going to print out two things. So the first thing I printed out is a map of the world, because I thought it would be fun to also track like where the books that I'm reading are taking place. So I'm not doing anything fancy. I just literally printed out this map on the world on, these are, what do we call them? Labels, so that's why they are half sheets. And I'm literally just gonna color in like the places as they go, and maybe I'll add notes and maybe I won't add notes. I don't know, haven't gotten that far yet. I'm adding an outline, and that's all I'm doing here because I'm not really sure how I want to do this yet, but we shall see. Then I'm flipping over to the next page, which is going to be the last thing that I do here in the book journal, reading journal, and that is I'm adding a Books of the Bible tracker. So this one I printed out from my TBT shop, Becca's Bible Class, which is on Teachers Pay Teachers. So it's a printable, and it has all the books of the Bible. There's a couple different options, and it is just the easiest way for me to keep track of what I'm reading. Also, you can use it, in your classroom or with your kids or whatever. And I just, again, color it in as I finish, and I add that one every year just to see how we do. So I'm going to do a little flip through. Thanks for making it all the way to the end, and I would love to hear your book recommendations down below in the comments.